States. It's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Last month, when one of our many graduations that we were attending up in the Bay Area in Sacramento, it was Father's Day that Sunday, and so as a treat for Father's Day, since it was going to be a day of driving home, the 5.5 hours back to our home in Southern California, my wife said, "Hey, let's go to our favorite spot in San Francisco real quick. We can get Cooper, our kid, our 14-year-old, he can have one of his favorite things in San Francisco, and we just drive over, spend an hour, and then head home." And I thought that was awesome. And then I said, well, why don't I just video what I can, and show it to all of you who care to even watch. If you don't, you can always stop right now. So it is going to be 15 minutes worth of terrible videoing because I'm doing it from my phone. I think I want Darren from Drone Zone Media, who just released a new video on the JFK's sister. Please go watch it. It is so good. He's getting so much better at what he's doing. He's finding his groove. It looks, he's doing a really good job. So please go over and support his channel. It's good stuff. But he's given me the bug to want to be able to, I guess, vlog. Is that what they call this? Vlogging? And this was just our journey over to San Francisco from Sacramento, and just a brief, quick, stop to enjoy one of our favorite treats over there. And yeah, I'm excited to show it to you. It's not good. It's not a great video, so I'm just kind of warning you. But I appreciate y'all coming along. For all those who've stayed and who are going to watch it, that's awesome. Thank you. So let's go ahead and get going here. Let's see. I'm going to try to remember a lot of this stuff. I have a brief knowledge, very, very limited, on what we're going to see here. So we'll see how bad this can be. But this is coming over the Bay Bridge. Now we'll have better shots of the Bay Bridge, but this is a double-decker bridge. And here we are looking out over the San Francisco Bay, and we're coming out. Well, this is actually the Oakland Bay Bridge. There's actually two bridges with an island in the middle from Oakland into San Francisco, and this is what you see here is what's called Treasure Island. So the Oakland Bay Bridge will take you to Treasure Island, and then from Treasure Island you'll have what's called the Bay Bridge. There's the Golden Gate Bridge off in the distance. It's actually a really awesome day in San Francisco that day. No clouds, fog. It was nice. So here we are transitioning from the Oakland Bay Bridge and Treasure Island, which has like the Coast Guard and some other government buildings. Excuse me. And the interesting thing about the Bay Bridge, not the Oakland Bay Bridge, but the Bay Bridge that goes from Treasure Island into San Francisco, it's double-decker. And I'll speak more to it a little bit later, but there's a better shot, if you can get past that car, of the Golden Gate Bridge. And a brief shot of Coit Tower there. There's a downtown San Francisco, and I think I'm going to get a shot of, yep, there it is, Alcatraz, the famous federal prison out there in the middle of the bay. It is obviously no longer active. It was opened in 1934 and held the likes of Al Capone, probably their most famous inmate. Closed like 20 years later. Got too expensive to run. The salt water was eroding it. That's a picture of the Transamerica building, if it's still called that, but it's a famous building in San Francisco because of its architecture. Some more modern buildings there. A lot of financial, industry in San Francisco. And we're coming off of the Bay Bridge, and we'll swing around and make our way down to the Embarcadero, which is famous for all its piers. And probably the most famous is Pier 39, which is Fisherman's Wharf. And that's the big touristy place. It has a lot of restaurants. It has an aquarium there, and other, street performers, and a lot of knickknacks that you can purchase, that sort of thing. But bear with my camera work since I'm a rookie at doing these sort of things, but it's hard to keep still with your phone, your camera on your phone. But getting off into off of the bridge, which is the Dwight Eisenhower Freeway, basically. Making a right turn here, head back towards the Bay Bridge, and you get a really cool shot there. I always enjoy this street here because of that shot right there with the Bay Bridge at the end of the street. And it's reminiscent to that shot of the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. That's pretty famous, where you can take almost right underneath it. It's really nice. And I believe this is, I want to say it's the financial district of San Francisco, but I'm sure a lot of you will correct me. San Francisco has been getting a lot of grief for being homeless and drugs and people defecating and relieving themselves on the street. That's kind of common right there. People just parking in the middle of the street. I think it might be a DoorDash food delivery or something. But when you get down near the Embarcadero, where all the piers are, Fisherman's Wharf, and even right here in this part, which is real close by, it's actually really clean. It's you don't see homeless, because it's more touristy. So, but if you were to go more inland, you will see. I used to have to work. I've done a couple jobs in San Francisco, and I've seen people urinating, homeless people, doing drugs and urinating just out in the open. It's sad. It really is sad, and it needs a lot of attention and needs somebody to do something. But that's another video. So we're pulling up to Embarcadero, and this will house all the piers. Now, a lot of these piers, originally from the late 1800s. Pier 1, as we saw, is basically a ferry. A lot of these are ferries that just tour the bay, and a lot of them house just offices for companies and whatnot. They've rented them out. They used to all have some sort of maritime use, and most of them still do, but there's a lot that don't anymore. They have there'll be maybe a restaurant inside of them, or just like I said, office buildings, for whatever companies they've rented it out to. Here's a shot of Coit Tower. Coit Tower, early 1900s. I think it's around the same time as Alcatraz, 1932 or 34. It was said to be the best spot for a 360 view back then of all of San Francisco. And it was used to actually spot ships that came into the bay. It is now famous for its murals and its Art Deco style. But all along the Embarcadero area, you have piers from 1 all the way up to, I believe, 45. And like I said, most of them are ferries, companies that tour the bay. There is one that we're coming up on here that is strictly a ferry that goes to Alcatraz. There's also a cruise ship terminal that you'll see. You'll have some Navy ships come in, excuse me, especially in Fleet Week, which is, I believe, in August. It's a 2-week celebration of the Navy, which has a strong presence up here in San Francisco. And you have the Blue Angels do fly over. Yeah, it's an air show, and yeah, it's a big deal, big tourist event for sure. But right there, Pier 33, off to our right, that is the Alcatraz ferry. It'll take you out to the island, and I assume you get. There's actually 2 different tours, I believe. You get to tour the island, and then there's also the one that lets you off on the island. And there's a big tour of the island, which I've never done. I've never done it. I've been to San Francisco many times, but I've never done it. Maybe someday. I do want to do it. This is us heading to our first stop, because this is Cooper loves getting a milkshake, a chocolate milkshake from Ghirardelli's, which is the famous chocolate maker up here in San Francisco. And I enjoy their chocolate, their dark chocolate mainly. But this is was a good shot of just how people live in the city. Very stereotypical housing right on the street like that. Cars parked along the curb, really not a lot of space, but very typical. Here we are coming into Ghirardelli Square, and which has grown. It's not just the chocolate shop, but there's now restaurants and chocolate attractions and all that stuff. But it also overlooks the Maritime Park, and right there, that red-white ship is called the Balcutta, or Balcutha, something like that. It was built in the late 1800s. And it's a museum, but I also believe it will sail too. So it does actually sail. I don't think you can, there's another old-timey ship, but I'm not sure what that one is. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but the Jeremiah O'Brien, USS Jeremiah O'Brien, is out there, which was one of the last remaining Liberty ships from World War II. But there's Ghirardelli. We got Cooper, his chocolate milkshake. And now it's a short walk from Ghirardelli Square to go to my wife and I, Jennifer is her name. It's like a block or 2. We get to go to her and I's favorite place in San Francisco of all time. And this just kind of gives you a little idea of what San Francisco has to offer. I mean, it's not a ton. There's so much to see there. It's changed a little bit down here in the Fisherman Wharf area, the touristy area down by the water, because of COVID. So you'll see some of the restaurants have moved out into the street, which is awesome. I'm all for it. A lot of bike rentals, which I always thought that was kind of weird with all the hills in San Francisco. People like to rent bikes, but I believe they might be electric bikes that allow you to get up and over some of the inclines. But it's a nice way to dart up and down the streets around here. It's pretty cool. Yeah, they're almost like little mopeds in a way, and obviously you can get a Segway tour. No, thank you. But we're coming up to a corner. Clyde. God, what is the street name? I forget street names. I apologize. But this is one of the restaurants that has moved out to the street. But right up here on the corner is a place called the Buena Vista. And they are known worldwide, at least that's what I've been told, for their Irish coffees. And every time we come here, we have to stop in and drink an Irish coffee. I'm not a big whiskey guy, but man, these are so good. We want to sit at the bar, but we have a 14-year-old with a chocolate milkshake. And so after some talking with the bouncer and the manager, we get the nod from this gentleman right here. He says, yeah, go ahead. He can just stand there while you guys sit. Watch him. He'll give it to us right here. Yep. Go ahead, man. All right. So they allowed us to come in, sit at the bar. This place has been around since the early I believe the 1920s. Now that they have that restaurant moved out to the sidewalk, it takes away some of their view. But here's the Irish coffees that we love. We drank these really fast, and right outside is where the cable cars come, and they have what's called a turntable. Turns them around, rolls onto this giant record player, and it rotates it back the other way so it can go back up the hill. But here are a couple photos of it before it took off. Also, you have a really good shot of the Golden Gate Bridge. Such an amazing day. And here is the Bay Bridge. So the Bay Bridge, as you can see, it's double-decker, right? On top is coming into San Francisco. On the bottom is leaving San Francisco. And the big story with this, here we are, leaving San Francisco on the bottom half. In 1989 was their big earthquake. And just imagine driving this at the time, and the big earthquake hit in 1989, and that top portion of the roadway collapsed down onto the second bottom portion of the roadway. And so if you're a car, like we are currently, you're going to get crushed. And many people died. I don't know exactly the amount, but there were people who were driving that roadway when the earthquake happened. Not the whole bridge collapsed down onto itself, but just portions of it. And killed some motorists in their vehicles driving. But it was a pretty crazy thing. But they rebuilt it. It's now safe, hopefully. We made it through. And we had a great time in San Francisco. Now we're on our way back out of the city towards Treasure Island and off to inland California to take the 5 all the way home. So very happy, and it was a wonderful surprise by my wife taking me down there so we can have an Irish coffee, and had a great time. I hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't the most professional thing, but hopefully I'll get better. I do want to get better equipment and maybe do some more sites around the country that we do visit. We do visit a lot of places, weekend journeys, and I'm heading to Las Vegas here in the beginning of September for like 4 days, and we'll be heading up to Cambria, I think next week, up in Morro Bay. I'd like to take some video of there when we go up there for a baseball tournament. So yeah, some cool things. Also, I had a doctor's appointment with the dermatology doctor. And I've got a lot of sun damage on this masterpiece right here. A lot of damage, and it needs some tender, loving care. And she's prescribed me some chemotherapy cream, which I put on my face and my head, and it's supposed to burn off all the dead cancerous cells. And there's a lot of them. So I haven't decided if I'm going to actually keep doing videos while I'm doing the treatment, which takes about 2 weeks per side. They recommend not doing it all at once. But I'll do like this side, and then this side. So I haven't decided, but I've also said, you know what? You can go along on this journey, and don't look at me. I'm hideous. I'm going to be having, like Phantom of the Opera type masks on or whatever, but it could get, so hide your children. You don't want them to see me when I'm doing this treatment, but I may still do videos. I would like to, so I haven't decided, but that's going to be in the next week. I think I'm going to start at least on top of my head in the next week. So, okay. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. And yes, the more of these I do, the more I'll get better. And yeah, pretty cool. Have a great day, everyone. And we will see you later. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark